Chapter 6. Knowing is only half the battle. Do you like to travel? Just for fun, let me ask you this. How many of you overpack? Are you the type to go over every possible mood or weather change and choose an outfit to accommodate? Or do you pack as little as possible, only the essentials make it in your luggage? Is your philosophy, if I forget something, I'll buy it there? I'm sure there are other ways to prepare for a trip, but these are just two extremes that come to mind. What kind of packer are you? Whether it's for business or for pleasure, one thing remains the same, that no matter what kind of packer you are, you need to be prepared. If I'm going to Mexico, I know that I'll be needing sunscreen and light clothing. If I am going on an Antarctic tour, I'll need a parka and warm boots, right? However, if I am going to Newfoundland and Labrador, it's not a stretch to say I could actually need a parka one day and a spring jacket the next. Whatever the reason or the season for your travel, there would be a certain level of frustration if you didn't know how to prepare, right? For the record, I am that person who overpacks, especially when I can't really predict what each day will bring. When I went to Poland for Miss Wheelchair World Beauty Pageant in 2017, my sister came with me. I remember admiring her ability to travel with just a carry-on for 10 days. Now I realize I had gown and shoes and oh my, the shoes. How can I possibly choose between my 3 favorite pairs, and what about my boots? There was no way I could make this trip without the 5 pairs I decided on. My indecisive self found this process exciting yet painful, so I erred on the side of taking almost everything. You might be laughing at me, and that's okay, but I'm sure you'll agree that packing for something you never had prepared for, or could be prepared for, can be unbelievably difficult. Well, the night of the final gala came. Besides all the obvious excitement of the lights, cameras, and lots of runway action, we were spoiled. The gifts just kept coming and coming. It was just like Christmas morning. The sad reality was there was no way I was going to get all this loot back to Canada. However, thanks to my sister's mad packing skills, we were able to get almost everything in my suitcase. Of course, knowing that I would have had needed the extra space for all these presents would have been most helpful. And I would have avoided leaving behind some things that I would have rather kept. Would I have packed less? Or would I have brought an extra luggage bag? I don't know. Oh, the frustration of not knowing how to properly prepare. Understanding where you are going and how to prepare for your destination will have a profound impact on your overall well-being and success as you travel. Knowing in advance what you need saves a lot of frustration. While being prepared is a major factor in setting yourself up for a successful trip, that is still only half the battle. Knowing what to do is still incomplete unless you know to do it. How are you at following instructions? With any guide, whether it's in written format or you actually have a tour guide, being obedient to follow instructions is just as important as having the right clothing or accessories for a trip. One summer after high school, I remember planning to go on an all-day trip to the beach with my friends. I wore my cutest little 2-piece bathing suit. I had my sunblock, my sunglasses, and food for the day. Yep, I had all the essentials. You know, I usually also lather up with sunblock before I go out in the sun. After all, I am a redhead, and so need I say more? However, I was running late and I thought I would do it there. Well, we arrived at the beach, and in the excitement, I forgot to put on my sunblock. Then later, when I did remember, I told myself, I'm okay. I'll just keep going in the shade when I'm feeling hot. What was I thinking? Long story short, it was not a pleasant ending to a pleasant day for this girl. By the time I got home, I was feeling weak and I nearly passed out. I was attempting to get ready to go out with my friends after a day at the beach, but instead, I ended up in an ambulance en route to the hospital. Burnt to a crisp and looking like a lobster, I lay on that hospital bed, dehydrated and hooked up to the IV. My only thought was, why didn't I just put sunblock on as I planned? And then I was asked, how much water did I drink that day? I was embarrassed. My honest answer, I don't know if I actually drank anything other than that pop that I had with my lunch. Heat stroke and dehydration with a touch of stupidity was my diagnosis. You know you need to bring your sunblock on your tropical vacation or to the beach. But if you don't use it, you can't really complain about the fact that you got a sunburn or worse. To be honest, that's what we often do, don't we? We make a bad choice or think we know best and end up suffering more than necessary. Then we complain, right? We complain about the pain of our self-inflicted struggles. Oh boy, did I ever complain about my self-inflicted pain that day. I actually couldn't even wear clothes for about a week. I wore my mom's nightgown, and she had to regularly bathe my skin in vinegar water so my skin wouldn't scar or blister. I was burnt so badly, it hurt just to stand and walk. And when I had to go to the bathroom, I would literally cry when I had to sit on the toilet. My mom would even have to be strict with me and force me to get up and walk. See, the doctor had warned me that if I didn't get up and move, my joints would seize up. It would make it even harder later. I would keep telling her, no, it's too painful. Don't make me do it. Yes, that teenage experience taught me a lot about my self-inflicted pain, and more specifically, the importance of not just knowing the instructions, but actually following them. How can you maximize your journey? The importance of not just knowing the instructions, but also following them. Just like knowing what to expect can help you in the natural, this concept can also be applied to our spiritual lives. And while I've already covered the cycle of grief as a reminder of that process, I feel that showing you some things you might face in your spiritual journey will help you avoid some unnecessary frustration. Perhaps even help you make sense of what is happening right now in your life. In November of 2018, I just received papers that confirmed that Going Farther was officially a nonprofit organization. Wow, how did I even get here? Many times I wanted to quit and I felt that was just too hard, but my friend Jeremiah, who's an effectiveness coach with the Pentecostal Assemblies of Alberta and Northwest Territories District, would be right there providing me with the right resources and encouragement I needed to keep going. But here I was, the founder of an organization. This was also my birth month. So I had lots to celebrate, but still plenty to do. The morning after this exciting news, I began my morning routine as I always do. I was up really early in the morning and spending time with God. And I'm not a coffee drinker, but let's just say he's what gets me up in the morning and keeps me going. When I was praying, I felt he didn't want me to turn on my computer to work that day, but rather just be. I began to barter with him over a few items on my list that I felt really needed my attention. However, I knew no work meant you got it, no work. So I heard my instructions and I went about my day. Well, that was 4:30 a.m. By 9:30 a.m., what was I doing? That's right. I was at my computer working on the very task I was bartering with God over earlier. I would like to tell you that I was being productive and that the day was going by so smoothly, but it was quite the opposite. Let me begin with the fact that after 2 hours of working on a half-an-hour task, I couldn't understand why this was taking so long. Why was this being so difficult? In my frustration, I even started to pray, God, help me. I think there were even a few tears. By this time, my grocery order was ready for pickup, so I thought I would go grab my order and then have my lunch. Perfect timing, so off I went. When I called them and told them that I was parked and ready for pickup, they said, "I am sorry, but your order isn't on the list." "What do you mean my order is not on the list?" I said. This was not my first time doing this, and I knew I placed the order. But what I hadn't messed up on before was the pickup day. And while I know making a mistake for me is not uncommon, I pleaded with the lady to see if she could pick up and actually if you could just give me a chicken and a salad. Normally, I would have just pulled my wheelchair out of the car and gone in to pick it up myself. However, I had not brought my wheelchair with me. I had left it parked in my garage, which I sometimes do when I just have to zip out and grab something quick. Well, the gal heard the desperation in my voice and took pity on me and said, "You know what? I'll go pull your order. It's a slow day, but I won't get it filled for a few hours." I was delighted by that thought. "No problem," I said. "I'll go to Tim's for my lunch and I'll have the chicken for my dinner." So back home I went, ate my lunch at my computer. I know what you must be thinking by now. Why didn't I just take the day away from my computer as God has instructed? Well, I'll get to that. But let me just keep going. Later, when I went back to the store to pick up my order around 4:30 p.m., of course, as you've guessed, I was no further ahead with the task I had been working so hard on. But I assure you that it didn't stop me from trying. Would you believe me if I told you it was 7:30 p.m. before I was finally driving home with my chicken and salad and all the other groceries? Well, I won't tell you all that transpired with my order. What I will tell you is the follow-up conversation I had with God while I waited in that parking lot. There I was, sitting in a parking lot, frustrated and drained from all the waiting. And striving, might I add. Now, I was really hungry because it was way past dinner hour, and I had started to talk out loud to God. Okay, what's the deal here? I didn't even have the words. I just sat there and I cried as tears flowed down my cheeks. I felt God speaking to my heart. He reminded me of the first time I went to West Edmonton Mall. When I first moved to Edmonton, I remember one of the first things I wanted to do was visit the amazing attractions there. I had heard how big and amazing it was, but I had not yet experienced it. I went with a friend and we literally spent the whole day seeing all the sights and doing a little shopping, of course. We were there before the doors opened and stayed until we heard the announcement of the mall closing. And now it's a pleasure, a true pleasure, when I get to take people there to see the sights for the first time and see their reactions to an indoor wave pool, the sea lions, a pirate ship, or an ice palace right in the mall. It's exciting to point out all the neat things. As you're going along among the amazing attractions, you are frequently telling them, "We need to stop and look here at the ice palace," or "You don't want to miss the sea lions." It took me a little while into hearing his unusual reminder before I realized what God was wanting to tell me. On the morning after such a great ministry victory, he was pausing with me to enjoy the wonder of it. But I had just insisted on running ahead. No, he didn't want to show me sea lions, but he did want me to stop and acknowledge my successes and not dismiss it. He had just helped me through yet another big hurdle. And this was indeed a big accomplishment. And here I was just zooming by it without a second glance. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. He said, "Vian, I don't want you to keep running ahead without appreciating the beauty of what I am doing for you. And when I tell you to stop and take time in my presence or simply just rest and enjoy where you are, trust me, there is a reason." He went on to say, "You know how a parent knows when a toddler needs to nap even before the child does? Well, trust me to know that I know when you need to stop or just sit much better than you do. It's not even about doing or not doing something, he said. I need you to be so in tune with my voice that you listen and obey me and all the instructions I give you. Be assured, I know what's best even when you can't see or understand. That was the most profound moment for me. And while I haven't always been perfect in the obedience department, you can be sure it's moments like that which helps me trust the one giving the instructions. These moments confirm, yes, that I should have listened. I knew what I was being asked to do, but I deliberately made the opposite choice. From my account of that wasted but not worthless day, I'm reminded that He can use even the pain of our poor choices to make us stronger and more reliant on Him. This is something that today I definitely understand more than ever. We can learn from our mistakes. As I have shared before, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. But when we learn to follow the instructions that we are given, we will definitely avoid some unnecessary struggles. God tells us in Ecclesiastes 4:6, one handful of rest is better than 2 fistfuls of labor and striving after the wind. Oh boy, ain't that the truth? My hope is that this will help you in your current situation, along your continued life journey. You know, the tools in my survival guide include both how to prepare and the instructions needed to maximize the journey ahead. I trust that as you continue to read, you'll have a better understanding of where you are and what to expect. And even more importantly, that you'll be guided to see your role in the success of the journey ahead. If I can help even just one person avoid one sunburn or unnecessary struggle, then it is most definitely worth it. But I am sure you agree that when trying to prepare for anything, knowing is only half the battle.